Hello, everybody. Good afternoon for most, I expect. Welcome all to today's webinar, The Interest of European Consumers in the Welfare of Farmed Fish, the contribution of NGOs, of companies, and of institutions. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time to join us today. Today's event is co-organised by the Italian organisation Essere Animali and Spanish organisation Animal Welfare Observatory. My name's Doug Whaley. I'm the senior expert in aquatic animals at Eurogroup for Animals, and we are the pan-European umbrella organisation for animal advocacy organisations in Europe. So today we're going to discuss here some of the key welfare issues for farmed fish, and with a range of institutional and corporate stakeholders. This is really a critically important issue today, with upwards of 1 billion fish on farms in the EU at any one time, and they're almost entirely without legal protection for their welfare. These undomesticated species are captive in production systems that are evolving fast, and it's really critical that welfare is the centre of people's focus as aquaculture develops, for it to be a responsible and sustainable animal farming sector. We have speakers today with between them representation of civil society, of retail, marketing, production, processing, a real breadth of experience and perspectives today. Thanks to all the speakers for joining us today, and thanks all of you for helping us keep time as we go through the next hour. So, with that brief introduction, let me move to quickly hand over the floor and introduce our first speakers. I'm especially excited to have the chance to introduce our first topic, as we are having the grand reveal and I think first presentation of results from a brand new survey of European consumers. And to give us the latest on what European citizens think, let me introduce two speakers. First, we're going to have Jesus Del Saz. Jesus graduated in veterinary medicine from UCM in Madrid, Spain. He's worked as a meat inspector and official veterinarian in England, which brought him on to complete a master's in animal welfare in Barcelona. He's served as animal welfare and agri-food products auditor in 2 companies, and today he's the institutional fish welfare specialist at Animal Welfare Observatory. And then we'll hear from Elisa Bianco, head of corporate affairs at Essere Animali. After graduating in biological sciences, Elisa went on to work for a number of national and European reference bodies, including the European Food Safety Authority. And then she moved on to the civil society sector, working for more than 15 years for several international non-profit organisations to build a more sustainable and compassionate food system. And that's what she's doing today as head of corporate engagement at Essere Animali. So let me hand over the floor to Jesus and then to Elisa.
Well, good afternoon to all of you. Many thanks to be here to see us. Elisa and me, we are going to present the results of the survey that we've carried out to the European citizens the last months. So, first of all, I'm going to present myself. I'm Jesus. I'm here on behalf of the Animal Welfare Observatory. It's a Spanish-based NGO focusing in animal welfare. We have a mission, a world without intensive animal farming. So for this reason, we are creating a food system where neither cages nor animal suffering exists. And we have a mission too. We want to make businesses and institutions commit to eliminating the suffering of farmed animals. We are mainly focused in chickens, in broilers, and in farmed fish as well. With the Essere Animali, we decided to carry out a survey, but which was the reason why did we decide to carry out a survey? Well, we knew, thanks to the last October's Eurobarometer, that more than the 91% of the European respondents, the last October, considered important to protect the welfare of farm animals. But what about fish? What happens with fish? We wanted to know if anyone is worried about fish. So, because we felt that we had a lack of information on this topic of the welfare of farmed fish animals and the feeling of the population in general, we wanted to carry out a survey. And we select different topics, different kind of questions. And between all the questions, we wanted to put as well one about the slaughter, the pre-slaughter stunning. We wanted to know if the public would agree to a legislative change in this regard. I mean, if the public would agree if we want to change the law in this sense, and if the public would pay more for fish if aquaculture companies were to implement it. Because if the companies they want to invest, for example, to improve the machinery of the equipment, they have to pay for it. And later on, the prices of the product will increase. We select the fish standing prior to slaughter like a topic in the survey that we've carried out. But why? Well, we have 5 main reasons. The first reason why was because of the scientific evidence. I mean, we know that fishes without the standing prior to slaughter, they suffer. They are conscious, for example, with the ice slurry method, between 20 and 40 minutes until they die. So for this reason, we wanted to put the prior to slaughter in the survey, as well because of the existing method technology and the economic viability. We can put together these reasons because we know that some companies are investing to improve their equipment or their standing machinery, for example, the electrical ones. And we know that some companies, they can access to the European Maritime, Fisheries and Aquaculture Fund to purchase this kind of equipment. We know that in the other cases, in the other farm animals experience, I mean, for example, in the case of the cow, on the pig, on the poultry, they have the standing prior to slaughter compulsory, but that's not the case in the farmed fish, and because of the civil society. We, like us, like NGOs, we are here representing the the civil society, sorry. And for us, it's a demand, it's a priority, the standing prior to slaughter in the case of the farmed fish. So we've carried out a survey, and that survey was conducted in a Mediterranean context. Why? First of all, we are Mediterraneans, so we decided to ask about the main fish species produced by aquaculture in the European Union, in the Mediterranean region. So in that case, was the rainbow trout, the sea bram, and sea bass. So these species are included in the questions in the survey. And as well, we wanted to ask the European citizens, but which countries? Well, the countries selected, chosen were Spain, France, Italy, Greece, and Germany. Were chosen because of their per capita consumption of aquatic products in the European Union, and because of the population. I mean, these countries account until the 60% of the European Union and the 77% of the Eurozone. So from our point of view, these countries, they are a very, very good representative sample to include in the survey and to ask about the opinion of the European citizens. And well, just to finish, Essere Animali and Animal Welfare Observatory, they knew across the years. So we made connections some years ago by Eurogroup, thanks to Eurogroup for Animals. And since then, we've had fluid and regular communication among us. So for this reason, we are in several projects together. And at the beginning of this year, of the year 2024, we decided to commission a consumer survey to YouGov. And the reason was because Essere Animali was working with YouGov in the past. They conducted a survey as well, and the results were very, very positive. So for this reason, we wanted to work with Essere Animali and to repeat with this company. And that's it. So Elisa, if you want, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jesus. So as Doug was saying, I'm head of corporate engagement at Essere Animali. The presentation should come up in a second. And our mission and vision is similar to the one that Animal Welfare Observatory has. We also work towards a more compassionate food system, and especially the priority of my department, of the work that we want to do with companies is to develop positive collaborations or collaborations in general to eliminate the main cause of suffering. We work primarily on meat, chicken, and farmed fish, and also pigs. But in this case, we will just focus on fish. As Jesus said, we decided to carry out this survey to assess the interest of European consumers, specifically on farm fish and specifically on the 3 species which are more farmed in Europe. And in doing so, when we started to think of the survey, we had the general knowledge that the level of information that people have about the condition of farmed fish was lower compared to other land animals like pigs or broilers. This is the reason why we decided to assess whether the fact of informing people could have impacted the way people were answering. So we decided that for each country, the sample was divided into 2 subgroups. One subgroup was shown a video of the current farming practices with a specific focus on the end of life, so slaughter. And the other group was answering the same question of the other subgroup, but without watching the video. In this way, we could see whether or not there was a significant difference in the way people were answering, depending on whether or not they were exposed to the video. The data were very interesting. We can't give an overall data across all 5 countries because of the different context and culture context of all of each individual countries, but the data were quite homogeneous across all these countries. And in all these countries, there was a sample of population which was representative of the adult population of that country for age, sex, and level of education. What we see is that one of the questions which was asked was on the interest for people to have stricter regulations back to protecting the welfare of farm fish. And in all the countries, there was a strong interest in having better regulations. But the thing which was even more interesting was to see that once people were watching the video, this interest became much, much stronger. So the percentage of people demanding for better regulation increased significantly in the group that had watched the video. This didn't happen for labeling because the interest for labeling was so high from the start that we didn't see any significant difference. But if you can see the data on the right side of the screen, which show the interest of people in having labels explaining and identifying the farming standards of the fish that they are buying, you can see that the percentages are significantly high. In most of the countries, basically everyone apart Germany, which is surprising, almost 80% of the respondents would like to have transparent labeling with the method of production indicated, which is why then you don't see any difference when in the subgroup who has watched the video, because 80%, meaning 8 out of 10 consumers, is already a very high percentage. And then the last thing that we tested, that we wanted to assess, as Jesus said, is whether or not people are willing to pay more for fish farmed with better farming standards. I'm not going to present you all the data from all the different countries because it would be a very long presentation, but of course all the data are available if you are interested in seeing them. I have decided to focus on Spain because Spain is the country which is showing the lowest willingness to pay across the sample. So it's one of the best indicators because basically we are watching at the worst case scenario. So generally speaking, people are willing to pay. And what you can see is that they are willing to pay more both for sea bass, sea bream, and trout. But you can see that the percentage of people who are not willing to pay decreases significantly when people are informed. So people not willing to pay is the more light color on the left side of the bar. And then you can see the group post-exposed is the group who has watched the video. And there you can see that the percentage of people not willing to pay decreases if people have watched the video. And the other interesting thing is that not only more people are willing to pay, but also the people who were willing to pay before are willing to pay higher prices, because there are also significant differences in the higher brackets of the willingness to pay. So in the highest percentage between 10 and 25% more or 25% more. You can see it here in Spain in the case of trout, for instance. But this is also replicated across the other countries and also across the other species. So the general conclusion of the survey that we carried out, and we want to thank YouGov for the work that they do and also for the assistance that they gave us in interpreting the data correctly, is that people definitely want better labeling. Even though it is true that it came out that people are less aware of the issues of farmed fish compared to other land animals, people still want better labeling. They still want to know where their fish is coming from. On the other side, people are also demanding quite strongly better regulation and protection for farmed fish. And this demand increases once people are informed on the current practices. The same happens with the willingness to pay of consumers. They are willing to pay, and this willingness to pay increases further once they are informed. And that is all on the survey. So I'll give the word back to Doug.
Thanks very much, Elisa and Jesus, for commissioning and carrying out this work and looking. There's many knowledge gaps around the topic of fish welfare and what citizens really know about it and what they really want about it is one of those, and great to have more revealed on that. Thanks for the snapshot today, and we're all looking forward to a deeper dig and taking more lessons from the wider survey in the future. I think it came across clearly that consumers want high value, high welfare products, and there's a challenge in informing consumers about what they're buying to make them truly informed and empowered to buy the products they want, and a clear role for labeling and regulations there. Let us then move on. It was scheduled to have a speaker next from the Italian Ministry of Agriculture to bring us the sort of view from the policy perspective, but as was mentioned at this, we've just been informed that unfortunately she's not well today and she's not going to be able to join us today. So I'm instead going to hand the floor to Chiara Caprio from Essere Animali. Chiara, please come and introduce yourself and give us some input on the policy perspective.
Thank you, Doug. I am Chiara Caprio, the head of public affairs at Essere Animali. And yes, like Doug just said, unfortunately, we received this last minute news from Miss Ferraro. She's a representative of the Italian Ministry of Agriculture, and she was supposed to join us today with a very rich presentation to talk specifically about fish welfare and fish health. And these are two topics that we really believe are important in this conversation. And we hope that we can have another opportunity to discuss these topics, not only with her specifically, she's also an expert at FAO, but also to discuss it with the Ministry of Agriculture in the future. But yes, we wanted to take this opportunity to share some thoughts, especially about the relationship with institutions, because we as Essere Animali in these months have been constantly engaging and working with institutions at all levels to emphasize a topic that also among the institutions needs to be addressed constantly, that is the importance of fish welfare when we talk about animal welfare. So not only terrestrial animals, but also fish specifically in this case. We've been engaging not only with the regions in Italy, but also with the Ministry of Agriculture and also with the European Commission, with different bodies, and the members of the former European Parliament, because as you all know, we had these very recent European elections. So there's been a lot going on at the European level, but we want to emphasize that it's extremely important that institutions are involved into this conversation, generally speaking about fish welfare, but also in conversations like the one we are having today, where we are sharing important news and information, and we are creating an important bridge between NGOs and the producers and board and companies. Unfortunately, the relationship with institutions, it's been a challenge in the last few months. And we wanted to highlight that, for example, in the case of the Aquaculture Advisory Council, we are actually aware that there were concrete internal obstacles that basically prevented the organization to actually join and participate in our event. And we believe that these kind of obstacles are the ones that we all need together to overcome. We think it's a pity, because these European bodies are meant to create a positive and proactive connection between the producers and NGOs like Essere Animali or Animal Welfare Observatory and Eurogroup for Animals, for example, to connect more and discuss better about animal welfare, and in this case, fish welfare, to start a dialogue that we think that we are already having in many aspects, but there's still a lot to do to create real improvements in the production and better animal welfare standard. So without this dialogue and without this role of bridge between, institutions, NGOs, and companies, of course, the path is going to be more challenging. So what we are doing today and what we are trying to do is basically to solve this current situation. And therefore, we wanted to take this opportunity to highlight our total willingness for dialogue and engagement with all the institutions on all the different levels, with the goal to find basically the right ways to support companies and producers in this path to improvement. And above all, to respond to something else that we think institutions should always take into consideration, which is the demands of citizens, like the ones, for example, we are seeing in this poll, in this survey, but also voters that recently voted for the European elections and are very clear, because more protections are needed for fish. And above all, citizens are asking for more present and participatory institutions, and it's really needed for them to take this, request into consideration. So we hope that the new members of the new European Parliament, with whom we have already been in contact with, and luckily we also managed to have a lot of conversations with a good numbers of them in the light of the new elections, to discuss and to engage about animal welfare. But we really hope that also the new commission that will form in the next few weeks will continue working on the issue of fish welfare in a more participative way, to respond to the demands of all the European citizens that are not only represented by us, but also by all the surveys and research that has been done by different bodies. So today we're mentioning YouGov, but I want to highlight also how the Eurobarometer recently showed how European citizens are really into animal welfare, into fish welfare as well. So it's really important that institutions take these requests that are very clear and very vocal by the citizens into consideration. And we hope that the event we are doing today is one of the steps in this future collaboration. So thank you very much all for participating and for those who are following this webinar. And we hope this is just going to be one of the many future situations and events where we can discuss all together about this very important topic for European agriculture and food production.
Great, Chiara. Thanks very much for coming in and sharing an update. And as we're about to move on and hear examples of the sort of progress that is happening out there and in the real world, just to echo what you said, I think that policymakers have a real role to play here, and connecting science with practice and with markets is really challenging, and it's somewhere where policymakers can contribute a lot. So hopefully that's the direction we'll see. So let me move on, and we'll move on to our last two speakers from representing different businesses in value chains. And retailers and businesses serving food especially are in a leading position in understanding what consumers need and how to meet those needs in the market. And so let me introduce Giorgia Callia from Metro Italia. Giorgia graduated with a degree in the welfare of farmed animals and quality of animal products, and she's been with Metro since 2021 in the field of HACCP and sustainability, especially with a special focus on sustainable food systems. So Giorgia, please let me hand over to you to tell us about your fish welfare policy and commitment on humane slaughter for sea bass and sea bream.
Thank you very much, and thank you also for inviting me to speak about our policy in Metro Italy about sustainability. First of all, we would like to explain that Metro is a multinational company that is very focused on social, economic, and environmental sustainability. We would like always to sell to our customer quality products, promoting supply chain about sustainability and animal welfare principles. In quality department, quality assurance department, sustainability policy applies to on-brand products, and our sustainability policy refers to different categories of products such as paper and wood, soy, palm oil, welfare of animals such as eggs, meat, and fish, of course. Fish and seafood is another important topic of policy of sustainability, and in this case, it's referred to 12 species, for example, sea breed and sea bass. In the line of the company, welfare of animal is very important, and of course also fish, like the other animals, are sentient beings, and we would like to promote their welfare in the supply chain. Now we are working on the corporate policy to upload to our website in Metro Italy, thanks also to Essere Animali. And this policy will refers first of all to sea bass and sea bream on-brand products. And we would like to share in our Metro website as soon as possible in the next month. When we talk about welfare, we are talking about different parameters, and when we go to our suppliers, we see them. Now we would like to see just maybe the two most important ones. That refers to the life of the animals in farms, so the stocking densities. Our suppliers guarantees that the animals are farmed in a stocking density around 15 kilos every cubic meters, and it means that we have less animal who has disease, injuries, and also death. And the other important parameters is stunning. Our animals are stunned before slaughtering by electrical stunning, and these two parameters are very important also to the shelf life of the products. So if we guarantee these parameters in farms, we have a longer shelf life of animals, for the products, of course. That's around 1 or 2 days more, respect the traditional traditional slaughter or the density of animals. So our next steps are to publish as soon as possible, as already said, the policy on the website. And of course, to continue to improve the process to guarantee the welfare of the animals, also in according to the research, the scientific research, and the request of the customer. And also we would like to expand our policy to other own brand products in our supply chain. So our mission is to improve every time this policy. So thank you very much for giving me these times to explain our sustainability policy in Metro Italy.
Thank you very much indeed, Georgia. And it's really helpful to start with that perspective of the breadth of your sustainability policy and the range of issues. And when we have a topic like fish, the welfare of fish, where knowledge on what citizens want is relatively recent, it's great to see companies like yourself picking up on that and incorporating it into your approach and showing the way. So thank you very much for the work and for bringing that to us today. And with that, we'll move on to our final speaker. We're going to hear from a producer from the place in the value chain where consumer expectations meet real world technical challenges. And let me introduce Antonio Alvarez, the Sustainability Director of Profand Group, which is a major fishing and aquaculture and processing company. Antonio's an engineer with an academic background in energy and sustainability and over 30-year career in engineering and sustainability. And since 2021, he's been Director of Sustainability at Gruppo Profand, where he leads the company's efforts to address global, social and environmental challenges, including respect and protection for human rights, responsible sourcing of materials and climate change mitigation. So Antonio, please come and take the floor and share with us your experience and perspective.
At Profand, we have an animal welfare policy that applies to all the companies of the group, including agriculture, vessels, factories, and everything around the world. You can be consulted on our website at profand.com. We commit with the guiding principles established in the Aquatic Animal Health Code of the World Organization for Animal Health, and we recognize the fight's freedom of animal welfare. You can also find all information about our sustainability policy, our action plan in our website, in our annual report. Is the whole information about our policy. About factors that affecting animal welfare, I think everything shared with us this bullet. For training, you have highly qualified and committed staff dedicated to the health and welfare of fish in an agriculture facility. We ensure that the fish receive the necessary nutrients by providing them with appropriate diet according to their species and growing phase. We guarantee water quality, ensuring its properties and volume, safeguard the health and welfare of the animals, adapting the parameters to the needs of the species and the stage of the production cycle. We never use medication preventively or as growth promoters. The use of antibiotics is exclusively limited to the production period when the fish immune system is not yet developed to gain the protection offered by the vaccine. This is why 100% of the fish are vaccinated, helping to reduce health risks and ensure the animal quality and welfare. We handle fish appropriately. We have protocol transport, and we have a biosecurity plan in all the installations. And in base of our commitment, we acknowledge the sensitivity of fish as living beings and assume the responsibility of applying effective pre-slaughter stunning methods, ensuring a more human and compassionate procedures by inducing a rapid loss of consciousness in the fish. The animal welfare, we are aware the animal welfare in agriculture is essential to ensure a healthy, high-quality production. This is why training in animal welfare techniques is really important for us, for the whole team. About effective stunning, we can confirm that we have already taken the first step by implementing electric stunning methods in some of our agriculture farms. And we are committed to ensuring that by 2027, 100% of the fish that we cultivate are harvested in a manner that is more respectful of animal welfare. We would like to emphasize that given the potential for scientific and technical advancements that could facilitate further technological development, the implementation of future effective stunning methods will carry out in accordance with the guideline of the World Organization for Animal Health. Our experience with electrical stunning system is varied and diverse. It's both positive or negative. This is a short explanation. The technology developed for use on land or where boats are developed. Using open water is challenging and requires customized installation of the harvest vessel. This is one of the problems. Despite the declared preference of customers for ethically harvested fish, retailers and consumers are not willing to pay a premium price. I think this is really important for us. I think for the whole producer, It's important to foster the development of local manufacturers because maintenance repairs are difficult to obtain in a timely manner. And one of the big problems that I find is expensive, is not accessible for small produce. When you have a small farm, it's difficult to invest so much money to have a good or appropriate stunning methods. Conclusion is clear. The technology and knowledge for the best animal welfare practice exist, but research and development are important to constantly improve our knowledge and practice. The other is we must develop a more flexible and better engineering options because the facilities are complete different. Is big, small, is in river, in lake, in ocean is completely different. And the technology must be accessible to everyone. It's clear, And it's important that the price, the animal welfare should be real, no a marketing tool for retailers, and we need that the common practices that we apply to all types of producers, large and small. I think this is our conclusion. We need to continue improving the technology and the knowledge. That's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Antonio. That's really great to have a glimpse at the very, very wide range of factors that are relevant to welfare of fish and aquaculture and how you promote them and remember that solid place in having a high quality product. To see again, I think the feasibility of improving practices at slaughter and those challenges that you overcame to do that. And indeed, there's an ongoing need to generate knowledge and to monitor and apply and learn how to apply that in aquaculture. So thank you very much to all of today's speakers and to everybody for joining us. For a little recap, I think we've seen clearly that consumers want high welfare products, and that they want that backed up by legislation, and also that they don't know aquaculture so well, and that there's a challenge for all of us to inform consumers better about where their food is coming from. And we've sort of touched on many welfare issues: transport, feeding, training, staff, slaughter, and I think we've seen slaughter demonstrated as one of the most sort of feasible and ready for application improvements that can be made, and similarly stocking density, a factor interconnected with almost every welfare and environmental aspect in production, and great to see that concrete progress being made by companies choosing to lead the way. Hopefully we'll have more from policymakers. As was touched on, there are many policymakers active on the topic, and we will continue to see that. And for a final comment, if anybody would like to follow up or has any comments or questions, please reach out to Essere Animali or to Animal Welfare Observatory directly. You'll find them very easily, I'm sure. Thank you, everybody.